Good afternoon and welcome to Investors Business Daily's Stock Market Today. We are live from the Investors Business Daily studios in Los Angeles, and it is Monday, October 28th. We are sponsored by Interactive Brokers. So welcome to the show. Today we will be talking about a breakout in Microsoft, a upgrade for Roku, and we're going to talk about a semiconductor stock as well, AMD. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the indexes. It's Justin Nielsen along with Ed Carson. And Ed, it was another strong day in the market today, and it looks like the S&P 500 hit new highs. S&P 500 closed up over 0.5% at 0.6%. NASDAQ Composite up over 1%. Dow Jones Industrials about 0.5% as well. And then the Russell 2000 up almost 0.9%. So what is it, game on now?
Oh, it seems like it. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, it's been game on for a while, but again, the rally keeps on gaining strength. It'd be great if we could see that, the continue advance and hold above the old highs, because that's been an issue. This S&P 500 isn't really much above the January 2018 level, though. But as our boss, Chris Gessler, was saying earlier today, that also means we've had almost 2 years of earnings sort of not, sort of built into the market without really much going there. But S&P at a new high, NASDAQ just a couple of tenths away from a new high, Dow's within about 1%.
Right.
So definitely positive. Microsoft broke out, which we're going to talk about. Google broke out just ahead of earnings.
Yeah.
A few other stocks broke out or moved, back into buy zone. So just a really positive session.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Microsoft, since that's kind of making news. And of course, as a large component of the indexes, both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So what was the news here? It was a Jedi mind trick, right?
Yeah, not a mind trick. They won the so-called Jedi contract to improve data storage and real-time information sharing for the Pentagon. And late Friday, they won that contract, beating out front-runner Amazon. And that was big news for Microsoft. It really shows that they are a competitor against Amazon Web Services. It's not as big of a defeat for AWS or Amazon. Amazon actually had a decent day today, but Microsoft cleared a buy point, 142.47, I believe. Strong volume, relative strength line, that purple line, that's moving up. The stock had moved sort of sideways, but that really wasn't that bad, given that it was sort of a sideways market.
Right.
And so the stock is hitting a new high, relative strength hitting a new high. This is one of the $2 trillion stocks along with Apple, so this is pretty nice.
Yeah, right, exactly. And as you mentioned, Microsoft ended up closing up about 2.5% today, so broke out right through that area that you mentioned, the 142.47. It kind of closed at the lower part of the range, but when you consider the gap up, it made a lot of progress.
And it wasn't a crazy wide range. It wasn't like the stock had gone up 8% and then come down to that. And it's nice that earnings are out of the way. I mean, while there's always something to hit Microsoft, it's nice that that isn't coming, and that's something that's coming with a lot of stocks down the road. So
yeah. Okay. Now, an even bigger gain happened in Roku. So Roku got a upgrade.
I think an initiation from
that's right. Okay.
From Bank of America, and the stock rebounded from its 50-day line, and it was on Swing Trader already. Could you explain sort of why we put it on Swing Trader? Because it's not a traditional base. That handle isn't really a handle.
Right.
And it was already on there, right?
So actually, Microsoft and Roku are both on Swing Trader. We put them on last week. And what we were looking at here is, it got back above the 50-day moving average line. It had this nice little pullback to the 50-day, and we were seeing strength. And so sometimes we're looking at reversals for those moves. And so, of course, we didn't know that this 10% move was going to come today, but when it happens, we'll take it. So that was kind of our thinking. There wasn't too much volume on Friday, but again, we really liked the pattern that was forming. And Mike Webster, one of our portfolio managers, brought this to my attention, and so we kind of discussed it amongst the team. And we do have possibly some resistance here that will hit around 150, 153. But if we can get a little bit more of a gain out of this, earnings are coming up November 6th. So for a swing trade, normally we're not holding through earnings. If you were using this as a position trade, with a little bit of cushion, you can hold on to it for longer. So we'll see how this one ends up playing out. But especially with the streaming, I mean, we've talked about this a number of times on the video. With the streaming, we've got a lot of things that we're looking at in terms of Netflix has now got competition with Apple TV and Disney Plus, and Roku kind of is a place where you can get access to all of them, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be really interesting to see how if Roku can really become the streaming platform for all of these folks in a way.
Right, exactly. Okay, and last but not least, we should go ahead and take a look at some of the semiconductors. Semiconductors really showing a lot of strength. I know last week we were talking about SMH, the VanEck Semiconductors ETF. A lot of the semiconductors have reported earnings, and we have AMD coming up. So what's going on with AMD right now?
Yeah, AMD actually was one of the big winners in the early part of 2019 when all the other chip makers were still correcting. So while a number of chip makers already broken out, including AMD's chief rivals, NVIDIA and Intel, it's been consolidating. But then again, that was after a run. AMD has really been a strong performer this year. It's moving up the right side of a base. You can see it's getting close to a buy point. It's supposed to return to growth on earnings and sales, so that will be important. I think a 38.5% earnings per share gained year over year.
Right.
Another sign, are we going to see that chip industry rebound? We've had mixed signals, mostly positive. So if this can get above that buy point, that's another potential winner there.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that has been kind of holding back the chips to a certain degree is the whole China trade war fears. Where do you see that kind of going from here? I mean, not that you have any inside knowledge here.
No inside knowledge. I mean, it looks like look, China trade news is off the headlines. I mean, there's a reason why the S&P is moving to new highs, why Apple continues to power higher. Investors right now are not as worried about the China trade war. There is that partial trade deal in the books. Now, will they sign it? I mean, it could always go south. I guess the feeling is that there's reasons for both China and especially the U.S. with the election season coming up to make some kind of deal, even if it's partial, even if that. And that would probably be good enough.
Right, exactly. So looks like AMD closed up about 3% today, so a very healthy move. And as you said, it's approaching that former area of resistance around 35.55. So be on the lookout for that. That'll do it for us today. Keep in mind that we do have another investing strategies at the NASDAQ that will be dropping with Allie at the NASDAQ in New York. That is at investors.com/investing strategies. So you can get lots of great insight, interviews that she's doing with some very high level folks. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Engage with us on any of those platforms, and we love to hear from you. So thank you very much for watching today. We will see you right back here tomorrow.